So let me ask you this: what is the difference between Young Thug's plea and Gunna's plea?
Well, there's some big differences there, right? So Gunna pleads out right away, right? He doesn't even get into the trial part of the thing. The other thing is Gunna signs off on all this bullshit that the state, right? The state wants to put out. Now, maybe he didn't sign off on all of it, but I think he signed off on YSL as a gang,
Yes,
and all this other crap, right? When they asked Jeffrey to do that, Jeffrey pushed back, right? Jeffrey, he could have taken a negotiated plea, and they wanted him to sign off on all these damn lies, right? Because that's all they care about.
Yeah.
They don't care about the truth.
Yes.
They care about getting a victory.
yes.
So they wanted him to sign off on all that stuff. Jeffrey didn't do it. And what happens to Jeffrey by not doing that? What happens to Thug by not doing that? Because he wouldn't sign off on all their little things, YSL as a gang and all this other business, he had to take that non-negotiated plea, right? The blind plea. He had to risk going to prison. He risked going to prison partially so he wouldn't have to sign off on all that stuff that would have hurt the other guys.
But like bro was just saying,
Yeah.
right? There's a scenario where you're still taking a risk when you're doing this blind plea. Why not take the risk alongside Brian Steele, wait it out a couple of more months? Because we also have to examine the level of scrutiny Gunna has got, right? Gunna has gotten a certain level of scrutiny for pleading out in the same way that some people are saying that looks like Thug is now, for lack of a better term, played out in the same way. But like you said, there's some differences as it pertains to what was agreed on and what was actually admitted to.
I mean, there are those differences like I talked about, and I'm going to go back to the same thing that I said earlier. I'm just not going to criticize Gunna for doing what he did. I understand everybody is. Y'all's community can do it if you want to. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I'm not in that situation. So Gunna did whatever he chose, thought he had to do. Thug did what he had to do. I wish Jeffrey would have stuck it out till the end.
Yeah.
Gone through it. But
Go ahead.
he had to make those decisions for himself.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to criticize him for it. The other thing is, I mean, just honestly, it's hard for me to criticize a guy that I sat by for 2 years.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
What would that say about me?
Well, I mean, the truth is never disrespect. And I know Thug come from my walk of life, so he understands that, right? The truth is never disrespect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's why when I stand out on the hill, I'm from a neighborhood. I'm from a town. If I wasn't who I said I was, and dudes brought that to the light, that could not ever be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Right? Because I ain't got no business acting like something that I'm not. I don't play this fugazi game with nobody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What it is what we gonna address it as. And that's just how it is, cut and dry.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
From a lawyer's perspective, from a legal perspective, is there any difference between Thug's plea and Gunna's plea? Not because you sat next to him 2 years. Is there a scenario where you as a lawyer say those two are the same things? And the reason I ask this is because Gunna's lawyer is positioning it that way. He's saying basically, y'all are mad at Thug. I'm sorry, y'all are mad at Gunna when Thug is kind of in the same scenario. To that, what do you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I totally understand the position that Gunna's lawyer is taking. I mean, there are differences, but they're fine differences, right? And those are kind of the differences that I brought up.
Right.
Which is that the plea that Gunna took said some things in it that Jeffrey's plea did not say.
Yes.
And that's, I guess, the main difference between the two.
Right.
I mean, if there's a difference in the pleas, it's that.
Yeah.
But I get, and I guess it's Steve Sadow that's Gunna's lawyer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I get what Steve's saying, because you guys are criticizing Gunna for pleading out and Thug pled out. And that's pretty much, I totally get that position of his. I understand it. There were just a few differences between them, but there were some differences.
And here's another difference that, on Thug's side is that, Thug was noted as the king of this. So there's really no one to tell on above him, right?
No, there's no one to tell on.
It's who do I tell on if I'm Thug? Like, who do I tell on?
Yeah.
There's no one to tell on. But all of these dudes can kind of implicate me of being some kind of head of something, but I have no one to really
Well, the
tell
other
on.
thing is, I don't think Thug really had the opportunity to plea out early. I don't think the state even gave him that choice.
They wanted to nail him to the cross.
wanted
Yeah,
Thug.
yeah.
The target was Thug.
Yeah.
And they would do anything
Right.
to get Thug. The
Right.
target was on his back.
Right.
Wasn't on Gunna's back. I don't know why Gunna was, honestly, I don't know why Gunna was wrapped up
Right.
in all this
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. He
I
had
mean, they
one
had
charge.
They had nothing.
Really to get him to cooperate. That's
They-
why they went and got him. They went and got him. They probably looked at his record, his shit, and was like, if we get him, he'll probably at least give us some information.
But
We don't got much on him.
He didn't cooperate at all. I mean,
He didn't cooperate at all?
No, he signed what he had to sign to get the hell out of there, but he didn't cooperate. He didn't testify. None of that happened with Gunna. I didn't think people should have been giving Gunna hell, and I still don't.
So as the defense team over there for Yak Gotti, you don't see an issue with Gunna saying that this is a game?
I'm not happy that he said it, but you know what? I can explain that to the jury. And his lawyer knows I can explain that to the jury. And we did over and over again. Max and I, everybody, we
Right.
all explained it to the
Yeah,
jury.
yeah.
And you know what? The jury understood. So what Gunna did didn't hurt us at all. Didn't hurt us at all.
Wow. That's a heavy statement.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm saying it because it's true.
Right.
He didn't hurt us.
And you played in between the whistles, so you know. You
Yeah,
know.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Look, that entire trial, that 2-year trial, nothing Gunna said ever came up before the jury. So how can his plea have hurt me?
Wow.
Have hurt Yak?
Yeah.
It didn't.
So do you think Thug should
It helped
not
their
be
public opinion.
Yeah.
They spun it.
right?
Right?
Do you think Thug should not be mad at Gunna?
Oh, I'm not going to tell anyone how they should feel.
Okay. I mean, well, I guess
I mean,
that
I'm
is a
not.
heavy question. Yeah.
I'm not.
But I mean, I'm wondering if. All right. Well.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not like that answer, but that's where I'm going to
right.
stay.
Yeah. No,
I'm not going to
respect it.
tell anyone how to feel about anything else.
Right. I respect it.
That's an age thing, man. I've learned that. I don't get involved, man.
Yeah,
You two
yeah.
want to go get divorced? I'm not taking sides.
Right. How much longer are you gonna practice law?
Probably 15 more years.
15 more. Yeah.
What? Am I that old? Look at this.
You've been
God.
doing it 30. That's 45 years.
I started I got my bar license in 98, and I was doing it while in law school in 96. Not quite 30 yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
You enjoy it. That's
I
what
love
you
it.
want to do. Something you enjoy for the rest of your life.
Shoot, what else would I do?
Right. So talk to the people about, like, when you filed this motion, you presented to him
Right.
the 3 steps that's met the criteria. You met that criteria,
did.
and he still said, "Get it out of here."
Yeah, he still wouldn't do it, even though I met, and you got to forgive me because I can't remember each of the 3.
Right.
But I met those criteria.
Right.
And what's interesting is he actually found I met the criteria, which was just crazy. Like, at least find I didn't meet one.
Yeah.
But he found I met the right criteria. And then he made up something and said, I'm just complaining about a ruling. I wasn't complaining about a ruling. Nowhere in my brief, nowhere in my argument am I complaining about his rulings. I'm complaining about this improper meeting he had.
Yes.
So, like you say, he denies it. I asked the Supreme Court, to take it up. That actually I was jumping a step. I probably shouldn't have done that. But it worked out well.
Yeah.
Because instead of just a 1-word denial from the Supreme Court, they basically came back with a 3-page opinion that kind of outlined what really needed to happen.
Yeah.
And that's when Judge Glanville decided, okay, I'm going to have someone else look at this recusal issue.
Was that the point when they got him off the case?
That is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And let's get back into what it was like when they took Brian Steele to jail, because again, he pressed the issue. He used certain words like sacrosanct. He said people don't know what that means.
Yeah. Holy.
That means above, like, I'll tell you exactly
It's
what
something,
it means.
I view it as something holy.
Yeah, it said sacrosanct means it's regarded as too important or valuable to be interfered with or criticized.
Yeah. Yeah.